There is something people rarely admit when it comes to strong emotional connections. When someone keeps appearing in your thoughts throughout the day, it can feel like your mind is the only place where this connection exists. But human emotions and attention are far more complex than that. This is not about creating fantasies or convincing yourself that someone is thinking about you every second. It is about understanding how attraction, memory, and emotional attachment influence the way people begin to see each other. When someone becomes important to you, your brain starts creating patterns around them. You notice small details, remember conversations, and attach meaning to moments that others might overlook. And sometimes the same kind of emotional shift can begin happening on the other side too. You know exactly what this feels like. You wake up and somehow he is already the first thought in your mind. You start your morning routine and a random memory of him appears without warning. You are driving somewhere and suddenly you remember something he said days ago. You are having lunch and you find yourself wondering what he is doing at that exact moment. Something funny happens and your first reaction is thinking he would probably laugh at this. Even when you try to focus on something else, your mind keeps returning to him. And then you start questioning yourself. Why am I thinking about him this much? Am I becoming too attached? Does he even think about me? Is he completely fine while I am the one struggling with these emotions? The truth is, having strong feelings does not automatically mean something is wrong with you. It does not make you weak, irrational, or desperate. When someone leaves a deep impression on your mind, there is usually a reason behind it. Our brains are designed to focus on things that carry emotional importance. We remember people who made us feel something, whether that feeling was excitement, comfort, curiosity, or connection. And when a person continues occupying your thoughts, it shows that your mind has marked them as significant. That does not guarantee exactly what another person feels, but it does reveal that something meaningful has affected you. Understanding this can change the way you look at your emotions instead of judging yourself for having them. When there is a genuine connection between two people, it often creates changes in the way both individuals perceive each other. It is not about magic or unrealistic promises. It is about psychology, emotional patterns, and the way human attention works. When someone becomes emotionally relevant, they become harder to ignore. In this video, we are going to explore the different things that can happen when a person starts becoming deeply present in someone's mind. These are not about creating false hope or making assumptions. They are about understanding the subtle ways attraction, curiosity, and emotional awareness can develop between two people. Once you understand these processes, you may start looking at your situation from a completely different perspective. The first thing that often happens is that attention begins to increase. The brain naturally becomes more aware of what it considers important. Think about when you learn a new word and suddenly start noticing that word everywhere. It was always around you, but your brain was not focused on it before. The same process can happen with people. When someone becomes emotionally meaningful, your mind begins highlighting details connected to them. You remember their expressions, their habits, their words, and the little moments that made them stand out. Your attention becomes more sensitive to anything related to them because your brain has decided that this person matters. And something similar can happen when someone begins developing stronger awareness of you. They may start noticing details they ignored before. Small things about your personality may stand out more. They may remember a conversation you had, notice your reactions, or become more aware of your presence. Sometimes these changes happen gradually, without the person even consciously realizing it. A person who once blended into the background can slowly become someone their mind naturally returns to. They are no longer just another person they know. They become someone associated with emotions, memories, and curiosity. As this awareness grows, their perception of you can begin changing. Moments that seemed ordinary at first may start feeling more meaningful later. A simple conversation may replay in their mind. A small joke you made may suddenly seem more memorable. A certain expression, smile, or gesture may become something they remember without trying. Their brain begins organizing experiences with you in a different way. You become connected to feelings and memories rather than just random interactions. And when someone starts holding that kind of emotional space in another person's mind, curiosity naturally begins to grow. They may start wondering what you're doing, what you are thinking, or why they keep remembering certain moments with you. As curiosity grows, something interesting starts happening inside a person's mind. They begin searching for answers to feelings they may not fully understand yet. They might ask themselves why certain conversations with you stay in their memory longer than expected, why your presence feels different, or why they find themselves wanting to know more about you. These questions may not always appear clearly in their thoughts, but they create a quiet emotional process underneath the surface. The mind naturally tries to understand what feels important. When someone stands out emotionally, the brain starts collecting more information about them, looking for patterns, and trying to make sense of the connection. This is why a person can find themselves thinking about someone even when they did not plan to. The emotional importance of that person keeps bringing their attention back. Another thing that can happen is that a person starts comparing new experiences with the feelings they associate with you. When someone leaves a strong emotional impression, they can become a reference point in the mind. This does not mean a person consciously sits there judging everyone against you. It happens more subtly. The brain remembers emotional experiences and uses them as a way to understand future ones. If someone made them feel understood, comfortable, excited, or emotionally connected, those feelings become something they naturally recognize. Later, when they meet new people or experience different situations, they may notice when something feels different. They may think, something about this is missing, even if they cannot explain exactly what it is. This is why someone can meet other people and still feel like something does not completely match. A new person might be attractive, kind, or interesting, but there can still be a difference in emotional connection. The conversations may not flow the same way, the comfort level may not feel identical, the small details that made you unique may not be present with someone else. And because emotions are not only based on logic, a person may struggle to explain why one connection feels stronger than another. They may simply feel that something is different. That difference often comes from the emotional imprint created through shared moments and experiences. Your personality, your way of communicating, and the way you make someone feel can become attached to specific memories in their mind. Maybe it was the way you listened when they spoke. Maybe it was how easily you made them laugh. Maybe it was the feeling that they could be themselves around you. These small moments may seem ordinary when they happen, but the brain often gives more importance to experiences connected with strong emotions. Over time, those memories can become powerful reminders of the connection they felt with you. And when those memories continue appearing, they keep the emotional association alive. This is also why people sometimes realize the value of someone after spending time away from them. Distance can create space for reflection. Without the constant presence of that person, the mind has more room to revisit memories, conversations, and feelings. They may start noticing things they previously took for granted. They may remember how certain moments felt and begin understanding the impact that person had on their life. Sometimes emotional awareness does not happen instantly. It develops slowly as the mind processes experiences and recognizes patterns that were there all along. The next shift that can happen is emotional curiosity, turning into emotional attachment. When someone repeatedly occupies your thoughts, they can slowly become connected to your sense of comfort, excitement, or anticipation. The brain starts associating them with certain feelings. A message from them can create happiness. A memory of them can bring warmth. Seeing something connected to them can immediately trigger thoughts about them. This is how emotional associations are built. The person becomes linked with certain experiences and emotions, making them harder to ignore. But the most important thing to understand is that genuine connection is not about forcing someone to think about you or trying to control their emotions. Real attraction develops through authenticity, shared experiences, and emotional impact. The strongest connections are not created through pressure or constant effort. They grow naturally when two people feel seen, respected, and understood. When someone remembers you, thinks about you, or feels drawn toward you, it is usually because something about the connection created meaning for them. And once someone starts realizing that a particular person brings a unique feeling into their life, another process begins. They start becoming more aware of your absence. They notice when you are not around. They may find themselves wanting to share something with you, hear your opinion, or experience that same emotional comfort again. This is where a person begins moving from simply remembering someone to recognizing the role that person plays in their emotional world. And that realization can become a powerful turning point in how they view the connection. Sometimes a person can have conversations with others and everything seems perfectly fine on the surface, but something still feels different. The interaction might be enjoyable, the person might be kind, and the conversation might flow. But there is a missing element that is hard to explain. There is a certain comfort, understanding, or natural connection that does not appear with everyone. And when someone has experienced that kind of connection with you, their mind can begin using that feeling as a reference point. They are not intentionally searching for someone who is exactly like you. They are not trying to compare people. It simply happens because the brain remembers emotional experiences that felt meaningful. Over time, you can become the person they associate with a feeling that others struggle to recreate. This is often when someone begins feeling confused by their own emotions. They may wonder why moving forward feels harder than expected. They may meet new people, have new conversations, or try to convince themselves that they should feel the same excitement with someone else, but something does not completely connect. They cannot always explain what is missing because it is not about one specific quality. It is about the overall emotional experience, the way they felt around you, the way conversations happened naturally, the comfort they experienced, or the feeling of being understood can create a memory that stays stronger than they realize. And when new connections do not create that same feeling, they begin noticing the difference. The interesting part is that many people do not consciously realize they are doing this. They are not sitting there thinking, I am comparing everyone to her. Most of the time, they are simply experiencing a feeling they cannot fully understand. They may think something is wrong with the situation, with the timing, or with the people they are meeting. They may wonder why everything feels less exciting than it should. But somewhere beneath those thoughts, their mind is recognizing something important. The emotional connection they experienced with you created an impression that has not been easily replaced. That is why memories of you can continue appearing even when they are trying to focus on something else. And this leads to another shift that can happen when someone becomes deeply present in another person's thoughts. Their emotions can begin reacting to that person's presence, even when there is no direct interaction happening. Think about how your own mood can change when you think about someone you care about. A simple memory can make you smile. A thought can bring excitement. Sometimes it can even create sadness, longing, or confusion. A person can influence your emotional state without physically being there. The same psychological process can happen when someone develops strong feelings or emotional attachment towards you. They may wake up feeling unexpectedly positive without immediately understanding why. Maybe a memory of you appeared in their mind. Maybe they remembered something you said. Maybe they replayed a moment that made them feel good. They might not consciously connect that emotion to you, but the association is still there. On another day, they might feel distracted or unsettled without knowing the reason. Something may feel missing and they cannot explain it. Sometimes it is because their mind has become accustomed to having that person as a source of emotional stimulation and reflection. Many people do not openly talk about these internal experiences. They usually do not sit with friends and explain that their mood changed because they were thinking about someone. Instead, they simply experience the emotion and move through their day. They might become quieter, more reflective, or lost in their thoughts. Someone around them may notice and ask if everything is okay, but they may not even have an answer themselves. Their mind is somewhere else, replaying memories, thinking about conversations, or trying to understand why this person has such an effect on them. At the same time, thinking about someone can also create positive emotional energy. A person may become more motivated, more cheerful, or more expressive because their thoughts are connected to something that brings them happiness. Their friends may notice a change in their behavior, even if they do not know the reason behind it. The person may not immediately understand the connection either, but eventually they may start recognizing a pattern. They notice that certain thoughts bring certain feelings. They realize that thinking about this person changes something inside them. That realization can become a powerful moment because it means the person is no longer just a passing thought. They have become connected to emotions, and that is a much deeper place in someone's mind. Most people do not affect us in this way. We can think about them one day and forget about them the next. Their presence does not create a noticeable emotional shift. But when someone begins influencing how we feel simply through memories and thoughts, it shows that they hold a unique place in our emotional world. Another thing that can happen is that reminders of this person begin appearing everywhere. When someone becomes emotionally important, the brain naturally starts creating connections between them and the world around us. A song, a location, a phrase, a smell, or even a simple object can suddenly bring that person back into our thoughts. It feels like the world is filled with reminders. But what is actually happening is that the brain has become more sensitive to anything connected with that person. Maybe a song plays that reminds him of a conversation you had. Maybe he passes a place that brings back a memory. Maybe he sees something that matches your personality or reminds him of something you once said. These moments happen automatically because the brain stores emotional experiences together with the details surrounding them. Once someone becomes important, those details become attached to that person. Ordinary things start carrying emotional meaning because they are connected to memories. This can create a cycle where one thought leads to another. A reminder brings back a memory. The memory creates an emotion, and that emotion makes the person even more noticeable in the mind. The more this happens, the stronger the association becomes. This is why someone might suddenly send a random message saying something reminded them of you. It is not always because they planned a conversation. Sometimes it is simply because their mind made a connection and they felt the urge to share it. But not every reminder turns into a message. Sometimes people keep those moments to themselves. They see something that makes them think of you, they feel something, and they continue with their day. Those small moments quietly collect over time. Each memory adds another layer, making that person feel more present even when they are physically absent. And sometimes, even when the thoughts feel confusing, people do not want them to disappear because those reminders create a sense of closeness. Eventually, all of these experiences can lead to one deeper question. What does this person truly mean to me? When someone realizes that a person is constantly on their mind, affects their emotions, and continues appearing in their thoughts, they begin looking deeper. Maybe before, they saw you as someone they enjoyed being around, someone interesting, someone they liked. But now the experience feels different because the impact has become impossible to ignore. They begin asking themselves questions they may have avoided before. Why do I keep thinking about her? Why does this connection feel different? Is this just attraction, or is there something deeper happening? Do I actually have feelings that I have not admitted yet? These questions can feel uncomfortable because they require honesty. They force someone to acknowledge that another person has become important, and for many people, especially those who prefer to stay in control of their emotions, accepting that reality can feel overwhelming. Because admitting someone matters means accepting vulnerability. It means recognizing that this person has the ability to influence your thoughts and emotions. It means understanding that what you feel may be more meaningful than you originally expected. And that realization can create an internal struggle between what someone wants to feel and what they are trying to avoid feeling. But once a person reaches that point, they can no longer ignore the impact the connection has had on them. When someone starts seriously questioning what you mean to them, it can create a little inner conflict because they suddenly find themselves facing emotions they may not have expected. They do not have an immediate answer, and that uncertainty can feel uncomfortable. Most people prefer knowing where they stand, but feelings do not always work that way. Sometimes a person has to sit with their emotions, reflect on their experiences, and understand why someone has become so important to them. But the important part is this. The moment someone starts asking that question, you are no longer just another person in their life. You have already moved into a different place in their mind. You are no longer someone they casually notice and forget. You have become someone they are genuinely trying to understand. That shift is much bigger than people realize. Many people pass through our lives without leaving a lasting emotional impact. We meet them, we talk to them, and eventually they become another memory. But every once in a while, someone comes along who makes us pause. Someone who makes us think deeper. Someone who makes us ask ourselves, why does this person feel different? When someone reaches that point with you, it means the connection has created an impression. It has made them stop and reflect instead of simply moving on. And once that question exists in their mind, it becomes difficult to ignore. They may try to distract themselves, but the thought remains there because their mind is searching for an answer. Sometimes they may start mentioning you in conversations without even realizing it. They might bring up something funny you said, a place you talked about, or a small moment you shared. They may not directly tell their friends how they feel, but little pieces of you begin appearing in their conversations. They might ask for opinions, saying things like, "What do you think about her?" or casually mention something about you just to hear another perspective. In many cases, they are not looking for someone else to decide for them. They are simply trying to organize their own thoughts by saying them out loud. They are trying to understand whether what they feel is genuine or whether they are overthinking it. Another thing that can happen is that they create a little distance, and this is where many people become confused because it can seem like the opposite of what should happen. You might think, if he cares, why would he step back? But sometimes people need space when emotions become stronger than they expected. Pulling back does not always mean losing interest. Sometimes it means they are trying to process what they feel. They need time to think, to understand their emotions, and to figure out what direction they want to take. When feelings become intense, some people do not immediately move closer. They first try to regain clarity. During that time, the feelings and thoughts do not simply disappear. Even from a distance, their mind may still return to you. They may still notice reminders of you. They may still remember conversations, compare experiences, and wonder about what this connection means. The difference is that they are processing everything internally instead of expressing it openly. Sometimes distance is not about forgetting someone. Sometimes it is about trying to understand why someone has become so difficult to forget. The question remains in their mind because something about you has already created an emotional impact. Eventually, a person reaches a point where they have to face what they feel. They cannot avoid the question forever. They have to decide what this connection means and whether they want to acknowledge it. That does not mean every person immediately knows what to do or that they suddenly become fearless. People are influenced by their past experiences, personal fears, timing, and emotional readiness. Feelings can be real while someone is still trying to understand how to handle them. That is why actions do not always happen as quickly as emotions develop. So what does all of this mean for you? First, it means you should not judge yourself for having strong thoughts or feelings about someone. When a person occupies your mind, it does not automatically mean you are being irrational or weak. It means something about that connection affected you deeply. Your mind is responding to an emotional experience that felt meaningful. Instead of fighting yourself for feeling something, try understanding what those feelings are showing you about your own emotions, desires, and needs. Second, learn to respect your own intuition while also staying grounded. Sometimes your instincts notice small details that your logical mind has not fully processed yet. The way someone looks at you, communicates with you, or behaves around you can create impressions that you naturally pick up on. But it is also important to allow things to unfold naturally. Do not let fear control you, but do not let assumptions control you either. Give yourself the space to observe, understand, and allow the situation to reveal itself over time. Third, remember that everyone moves at their own pace. Someone may feel something deeply and still need time before they are ready to express it. Emotional understanding does not happen the same way for everyone. Some people recognize their feelings quickly, while others need more time to process what is happening inside them. A delay does not always mean a lack of care. Sometimes it simply means a person is working through their own emotions before they can communicate them clearly. And most importantly, continue living your own life. Do not put your happiness on hold while waiting for someone else to figure things out. Keep growing, keep enjoying your passions, keep building yourself, and keep becoming the strongest version of who you are. The more connected you are to your own life, the more confident and balanced you become. A healthy connection should add to your life, not replace it. Your value does not depend on whether someone recognizes it immediately. The truth is, you have more influence than you may realize, but your greatest power comes from being yourself. You do not need to chase, force, or prove your importance. Genuine connections grow through authenticity, emotional presence, and mutual understanding. If someone is thinking about you, missing you, or trying to understand their feelings for you, that process belongs to them. Your role is not to control it. Your role is to continue showing up as yourself. So instead of constantly asking, "Does he think about me?" begin asking yourself, am I honoring my own feelings while still choosing myself? Because the right connection will not require you to lose your peace. It will meet you where you are. It will unfold in a way that feels natural and respectful. Sometimes two people are simply in the process of understanding what they mean to each other. Even when they are apart, both may be learning, growing, and finding clarity. Be patient with the process. Trust yourself. Allow things to develop without forcing the outcome. What is meant to become clear will become clear at the right time and in the right way. Until then, keep being who you are, because the person who leaves a lasting impression is not someone pretending to be unforgettable. It is someone who is genuine, authentic, and fully themselves. And that is the kind of presence people remember long after the moment has passed.